In this video we will find the x and the y intercepts of polynomials. On the first one, to find the x-intercept, we will let y equals 0. So we have 3x squared plus 17x plus 20 equals 0. And next we will factor this out. I will use two sets of parentheses like that. 3x times x is 3x squared. So now I'm looking for two numbers. When they multiply, they give me 20. But when they add, they're not quite gonna give me 17. I have to FOIL it out to see if I get 17 because of that 3x at the front. So the two numbers that multiply will be, I'm gonna choose 4 and 5. And I'm gonna write the 4 here and the 5 here. And because everything is plus, I will put plus here. So look what happens. 5 times 4 is 20. And then to get the 17, you will multiply the outsides and the insides. The outside, 3x times 4 is 12x squared. 3x times 4 is just 12x. The inside, 5 is 5x. And if you add them, 12 plus 5, you get the 17 in the middle. So now, we will set each of these factors, 3x plus 5 equals 0, or x plus 4 equals 0, and solve for x. Subtract 5, we get 3x equals negative 5, and divide by 3. So we get x equals negative 5/3. On the next one, subtract 4, and we get x equals negative 4. So those are the two x-intercepts. To find the y-intercept, we let x equals 0, and this is usually the easy case. So into the original problem, we will substitute in 0 for x. So you see how we get 3 times 0 squared plus 17 times 0 plus 20. Those two terms cancel out their zeros, so we get y equal 20. That will be the y-intercept. Let's go and repeat the procedure. Those steps into part B. To find the x-intercept, we will let y equals 0. So I will take, this is what I will repeat. So set the problem equal to 0. Negative 2x cubed minus 8x squared plus 10x equals 0. Now this one we cannot factor it out the way we factored out the previous one. The previous one was a trinomial and it was quadratic. So here, I notice that there is a 2 everywhere, so I want to factor out a 2. And I notice there is an x everywhere. I want to factor out a 2x, and in fact, I'm going to bring that negative at the front also. So factoring out negative 2x inside the parentheses, I will get x squared from the first term, plus 4x, because if I multiply negative 2x times 4x, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. X times x is x squared. And then when we factor out negative 2x out of 10x, I will get negative 5. So that if I multiply through, negative 2 times 5 is positive 10, and then the x. Set each factor equal to 0. So negative 2x equals 0. And x squared plus 4x minus 5 equals 0. On the first one, divide both sides by negative 2. We get x equal 0 over negative 2 is 0. On the next one, it is a trinomial, 3 terms, quadratic. So we will use the procedure we used on A. We will use two sets of parentheses equal to 0. I will use x and x here. And I'm looking for two numbers. When they multiply, they give me 5. So 1 and 5. When they add, I need to get positive 4. So I will have plus 5 and negative 1. Set each factor equal to 0. And solve for x. So plus 1, we get x equal 1. And then minus 5, we get x equal negative 5. So we got those three x-intercepts. To find the y-intercept, same procedure. We will let x equal 0. We get y equal x equals 0 into the original problem. I get negative 2 0 cubed minus 8 0 squared plus 10 times 0. And as you see, all of the terms are 0, so the y-intercept in this case is y equals 0. Now, on the last one, let's go for the x-intercept first. Set the problem equal to 0. X cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3 equals 0. Next, we will, this is a polynomial with 4 terms, so we will use the procedure called grouping. I will group together the first 2 terms and then group together the last 2 terms. Grouping together the first 2, do you see how I will factor out an x squared out of the first 2 terms? So when I factor out an x squared, inside the parentheses I get x minus 3. Because if you were to multiply through, x squared times x is x cubed, x squared times negative 3 is negative 3x squared. And then from the last 2 terms, I will factor out a negative 1. I will skip the 1, or you can write it, it doesn't matter. And then inside the parentheses, I get x minus 3. Now, how did I know that? The point when you do grouping is to have the same parentheses appear twice. So since I have x minus 3 here on the first term, I need to get x minus 3 here. And since I had exactly the opposite, negative x plus 3 exactly the opposite, I factored out the negative 1. Now, here I'm looking at 2 terms. This is one term, this is the second term. What they have in common is the parentheses. I will take the parentheses out, factor it out, and then in the second parenthesis I will put what's in front of this. So it's going to be x squared minus 1. And remember, this is equal to 0 because I'm trying to find the x-intercept. Now set each parenthesis equal to 0 and solve for x. On the first one we add 3. We get x equals 3. On the second one we add 1. We get x squared equals 1. Take the square root on both sides and we get x equal plus or minus every time you square root both sides, and the square root of 1 is 1. So we have a total of 3 x-intercepts, x equal 3 and x equal positive and negative 1. Now to find the y-intercepts, y equal, we will let x equal 0 into the original problem. We get 0 cubed minus 3 0 squared minus 0 plus 3. Drop all the 0 terms and you get y equal 3. That will be the only y-intercept.